Formula One has built a car with roughly 1,000 horsepower. And at Spa, it can suddenly become weaker than a Formula 2 machine. Fernando Alonso's warning exposed the contradiction. With the battery fully drained, the internal combustion engine produces around 540 horsepower, while Formula 2 has roughly 610. That means the fastest cars in the world can lose so much electrical deployment that they become underpowered in the middle of one of Formula One's fastest circuits. And the problem is already serious enough to force action. The governing body changed the energy harvesting limits specifically for Spa, introduced 5 dedicated straight mode zones, and has already agreed to reduce Formula One's dependence on electrical power in future seasons. But this is not only about slower lap times. When one car loses deployment and another still has energy available, the closing speed can change without warning. The driver behind sees a Formula One car accelerating. Then the electrical power disappears. The gap collapses. And at Spa, there may be almost no time to react. This is why the drivers are furious. The new regulations were supposed to create the future of Formula One. Instead, Spa may expose a system where the battery decides who can attack, who must coast, and who suddenly becomes a high-speed obstacle. And the most dangerous moment may arrive when one driver still has power, while the car directly ahead has already lost almost all of it. To understand why Spa has become the center of this fight, you have to understand what the battery is being asked to do. The new Formula One power unit can produce roughly 1,000 horsepower when everything is working together. Part of that comes from the internal combustion engine. Part of it comes from the electrical system. When both are available, the car is brutally powerful. But that full number hides the real problem. The electrical energy does not last forever. And at Spa, the circuit asks for so much power so early in the lap that the battery can begin running out before the driver reaches the next major braking zone. That is where everything starts to go wrong. The opening sector is heavily dependent on power. The car accelerates hard. It climbs. It stays on the throttle. It reaches long sections where the driver wants maximum deployment for as long as possible. But the battery is not an unlimited supply. It gives energy. Then it needs opportunities to recover it. Spa does not provide enough of those opportunities in the right places. So the car keeps demanding power while the electrical system is already approaching empty. Engineers call this superclipping. The phrase sounds technical. The effect is easy to understand. Imagine pressing the accelerator in a powerful electric car. At first, the response is immediate. The car surges forward. Then, while your foot is still fully down, part of that power disappears. The car is still moving. The combustion engine is still working. But the electrical boost is gone. That is what makes the problem so dangerous. The driver does not decide to slow down. The car simply stops accelerating with the same force. And if another driver behind still has electrical deployment available, the difference between the two cars can grow extremely quickly. One driver is effectively losing hundreds of horsepower. The other may still be using the complete system. The gap closes. The reaction time disappears. And Spa is not the kind of circuit where anyone wants surprises. The speeds are too high. The elevation changes are too severe. The straights are too long. The driver behind may begin an overtaking move expecting the car ahead to continue accelerating normally. Then the battery in the leading car empties. The acceleration falls away. The following car arrives much faster than expected. That does not mean a crash will automatically happen. Formula One has always included different speeds. Cars run different tires. Drivers use different strategies. Some cars are damaged. Some are saving fuel. But the battery creates a speed difference that is much harder to read. You cannot see how much electrical energy another car has left. You cannot look across the track and know whether the car ahead has full deployment, partial deployment, or almost nothing. The car looks normal. The engine still sounds alive. The driver may still be at full throttle. Then the performance changes. That is the uncertainty the drivers are warning about. Not simply less power. Hidden power. Power that is there one moment, then gone the next. And this is where Fernando Alonso's comparison becomes so powerful. He said that without electrical deployment, the Formula One cars could have less power than Formula 2. The number explains why. The internal combustion engine in the Formula One power unit produces roughly 540 horsepower on its own. The Formula 2 engine produces around 610 horsepower. So when the Formula One battery is fully drained, the most advanced racing car in the world can momentarily have less engine power available than a junior category machine. That does not mean a Formula 2 car would suddenly beat a Formula 1 car over a complete lap. The Formula 1 car still has more advanced aerodynamics, better braking, more cornering performance. far more sophisticated systems. But the straight-line power comparison exposes the flaw. A Formula One car should not become unexpectedly weak in the middle of a lap because its battery has already been emptied. Especially not at Spa. Especially not while another car is approaching. And especially not when the driver behind has no clear way to know what is about to happen. This is why the governing body had to respond. It made a season-first adjustment to the energy harvesting rules specifically for the Belgian Grand Prix. The goal was to stop drivers from awkwardly coasting through the middle sector. Coasting means lifting from the throttle earlier and allowing the car to roll. Drivers can use it to preserve energy. They can also use it to create more opportunities for recovery. But on a high-speed circuit, unexpected coasting creates another problem. The car ahead slows earlier than normal. The driver behind may not expect it. Now the speed difference appears before the braking zone. The following car closes quickly. And once again, the reaction window becomes smaller. So the rule adjustment was not only about improving lap time. It was about making the cars behave more naturally, more predictably, less dependent on drivers slowing in unusual places just to protect the battery. But the governing body did not stop there. It also confirmed 5 dedicated straight mode zones around Spa. Straight mode activates both the front and rear wing elements at the same time. The idea is simple. Reduce drag. Help the car travel down the straight more efficiently. Make it easier to maintain speed even when the electrical deployment is running low. Think of riding a bicycle into strong wind. If you sit upright, your body catches more air. You need more effort to hold the same speed. If you lower your body, the air passes around you more easily. You move faster with the same amount of power. Straight mode does something similar. It reduces the resistance created by the wings. That means the car does not need as much power to continue accelerating. But here is the important detail. Straight mode does not create energy. It does not recharge the battery instantly. It does not replace the lost electrical horsepower. It only helps the car use the remaining power more efficiently. That makes it a useful response. It does not make it a complete solution. And this is where the controversy becomes much bigger. Formula One has introduced one new system to compensate for the weakness created by another new system. The battery runs low. The wings open. The drag falls. The car becomes more efficient. But the underlying power deficit still exists. The electrical energy can still disappear. The driver can still reach the middle sector with almost nothing left. The closing speeds can still change depending on which car has deployment available. So the question becomes impossible to avoid. Has Formula One built a power unit that needs special aerodynamic assistance simply to survive the longest straights properly? That is not the kind of question the rulemakers wanted to face this early. And the future changes suggest they already know the current balance is too extreme. The planned adjustment for the next season moves the power split away from the battery. The share from the combustion engine is set to rise. The electrical share is set to fall. Then the same direction continues again the season after that. More power from the engine. Less dependence on electrical deployment. That is a major clue. The sport is not abandoning the hybrid concept. It is not rejecting electrical power. But it is reducing how much the car relies on the battery being available through the entire lap. That tells you the complaints were taken seriously. Drivers did not simply shout because the cars felt different. The rulemakers looked at the behavior and agreed that the balance needed to move. The current split asks the electrical system to contribute almost half of the total power. That creates enormous performance when the battery is full. It also creates an enormous hole when the battery is empty. The higher the electrical contribution, the larger the power loss when deployment ends. That is the central problem. At full power, the car feels extraordinary. Without deployment, it can feel dramatically weaker. And Spa exposes that contrast more severely than any other circuit on the calendar. The opening section takes energy. The closing section takes energy. The long straights do not provide convenient recovery. The middle sector arrives when the battery is already under pressure. The car begins the lap as one machine. Then, section by section, it becomes another. The driver has to manage that transformation while still trying to race. That is why this is not only an engineering argument. It is a driving problem. A driver builds confidence through repetition. He learns how quickly the car accelerates. He learns how soon it reaches the braking point. He learns what speed to expect. Then the amount of electrical deployment changes. Now the car reaches the same corner differently. The braking reference shifts. The speed changes. The aerodynamic load changes because the car is traveling at a different rate. The entire feeling of the approach can move. A driver can adapt. These are the best drivers in the world. But adaptation requires predictability. The danger begins when the amount of deployment depends on traffic, defense, overtaking, battery state, and previous energy use. Now the same corner can arrive with different power every lap. One lap, the car has strong deployment. Another lap, it has almost none. One lap, the driver used energy to attack. Another lap, he saved it. One lap, the car ahead forced him to change the plan. The next lap, the battery state is completely different. That means the race will not simply be about who has the fastest car. It will be about who has energy at the right moment. And that can change the outcome before the drivers even begin fighting. A driver may catch a rival. He may have better tires. He may place the car perfectly. Then the battery has already been drained. The overtake disappears. Another driver may look vulnerable. Then straight mode activates, the drag falls, and the car escapes. The battle becomes a contest of hidden energy states. That can be strategic. It can also become artificial. Because the driver behind does not know exactly what the car ahead can still deliver. The car ahead does not know how much electrical power the following car has saved. Both drivers make decisions without the complete picture. And at Spa, those decisions happen at extreme speed. This is why the phrase dangerous cannot be reduced to drama. The source does not confirm that the new system has already caused a major accident. It does not prove that every deployment difference creates an unsafe situation. The concern is about the conditions being created. Unexpected closing speeds, awkward coasting, large power differences, long straights, limited reaction time. Those elements do not guarantee a crash. They increase the chance of misunderstanding. And racing at this level cannot tolerate too much misunderstanding. Drivers need to know what another car is likely to do. They need to predict acceleration. They need to judge gaps. They need to commit to overtakes. If the battery creates an invisible difference, every prediction becomes harder. That is why the governing body changed the rules before the race. That is why straight mode zones were introduced. And that is why future power splits are already moving away from the current dependence on electrical energy.